Welcome back to Atypical Talk. This is a podcast where we have conversations that illuminate the intersection of faith, culture, and the common spaces of our humanity. I'm Abby.
I'm Joel.
I'm Kenton.
And we're starting off today by asking, what was your dream job as a kid?
This is so easy. Everybody's answer is working at Bridgeway Church that's here on the podcast. So we can just move on, right? Is that how we can do that? No, not quite. What about you, Kenton?
I don't know. I don't know that I really had a specific dream job that I can recall. Maybe I just didn't want to work at all.
No ambition.
No, nothing. Just wanted to stay home.
Yep, that's fair.
I think for me, I think maybe the very first thing was being like a professional athlete, because I remember watching like the Pacers and the Colts on TV and going out and doing the countdown and spinning around saying Reggie Miller 3, 2, 1 kind of thing. It was that. But then early on teenage life, I definitely wanted to be a traveling musician and a recording artist and being on tour and playing in front of thousands of people every night, like that kind of a thing. Had its allure to it for sure. And there was a long time I think I wanted to do that. I think, and that was the dream job for me. And then after I got a little bit older and I traveled like even on the weekends to do little retreats and gigs and stuff, and I just remember thinking like, oh, this is not for me. I don't like living in hotels at all. I want to be home with my dog and my creature comforts. So it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be there.
I feel like I went through 100 different things when I was a kid. Like when I got to high school, I was like, oh, I need to settle on something. But I remember I wanted to be a vet at one point. I wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to be a park ranger because I like camping and hiking and stuff. And those were the big three that I thought of when I was thinking about this.
Ranger.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and then I looked into it. I'm like, oh, they don't make good money. I don't know if I want to do that.
I used to be really into sumo wrestlers.
Whoa. Left field.
So maybe that was it. I used to tuck a pillow up under my shirt and like, and then would like tackle my parents.
Wow, that really,
so
I did not see that coming.
That was what I wanted to do.
You went from I didn't have any ambition to I wanted to be a sumo wrestler.
Who knows? Maybe that's what I wanted.
You
that's
really
awesome.
missed it.
Yeah, I did.
You're not eating enough if
Nope,
you want to live
not
up to your
nearly
dreams.
enough.
Yeah. Our first topic today, it's a Relevant magazine article titled The Death of the Dream Job. A decade ago, career advice encouraged young adults to chase their passion and climb the corporate ladder as quickly as possible. Today's 20 and 30-somethings are writing a different story, prioritizing work-life balance, job security, and clear boundaries over flashy titles and endless advancement. According to a 2024 Pew Research survey, about a third of U.S. workers now view their job as simply just a job to get them by, rather than a defining career path. This cultural shift reflects a generational rejection of workism, the belief that careers should provide identity and life meaning. Psychologist Jean Twenge notes that Gen Z and younger millennials are less willing than previous generations to sacrifice personal time and family life for work, though they still care about achievement. Making a transactional approach to work seems more sensible than emotional investment. Rather than representing the death of ambition, this trend signals the end of an illusion that the perfect job will solve all life's problems. Today's professionals understand that meaning can be found in relationships, creativity, service, and faith, not just work. They're making pragmatic choices like turning down promotions requiring excessive travel, switching from high-pressure startups to stable companies, or building portfolio careers that leave room for other pursuits. This generational correction towards viewing work as one important element of life rather than its central focus represents a healthier and more human approach to defining success. So what was your guys' experience in high school? Do you feel like you were encouraged to follow your passions, or was it a push to make good money and have work-life balance? Like, do you guys remember what you felt like that was like?
Yeah, I was thinking about this, and it's been like 20 years for me this next year, so it's a long time since high school. But I honestly, when I reflect on it, I think more in school, I was like encouraged to consider like passions and giftedness. And then honestly, from some of my family and extended family was more of you need to have the great career to make this kind of money. And it was not from I want my kid to achieve this so I can feel good. But it was from you want what's best in security for your child. So, I wasn't a great student, but high school wasn't like a super big challenge for me as well. So I think I was encouraged at school, like, what are you good at? What are you interested in? And how could you make that work?
Yeah.
At home was a little bit more of a, but you got to pay the bills kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little bit of my background with school. What about yours?
I think my parents, being homeschooled, they really pushed me to go towards my passions. And it wasn't like, it didn't feel like something where they were telling me, you're going to have to get a job to survive. Because at one point I do remember, like, I thought I could be an actor, and that definitely wasn't a thing that could have made me money or anything. But my parents really pushed me to go towards my passions and kind of figure out what you could do to survive based on what you wanted to do, and not necessarily, you should really go try to be a doctor because that'll make you good money, or if you're a lawyer, that'll make you good money. It was really following our passions.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither of those experiences were true for me. I mean, I just remember being pretty inundated with like career push and career aspirational goals by both school and kind of my home life. But I always, there were things that interested me and things that I was curious about doing, but it was always kind of one of those things of like, well, that, that doesn't really make money, or like, are you going to be able to support a family doing that? Like, what does that look like? And kind of maybe being told like, these are the things you're good at, instead of being asked like, what do you want to do? Or what do you think you're good at? It was like, well, you're really good with this kind of things. You're a good leader or whatever. So like, these are good jobs where you could lead people or different things like that. So yeah, my experience was wildly different than that. And I don't know. I mean, a lot of that has to do with the things you're in, like being in high school, like being the president of different, groups or organizations within school, or being part of like National Honor Society and all that kind of stuff. I think at least where I went to school, maybe there was just a bigger push.
Humble brag over here. Oh my goodness, Mr. President.
Well,
I'm gonna start calling him.
Now looking back, I'm like, man, I just wish I would have chilled out. But, I got senioritis pretty epically. So my senior year, might as well just forgotten. But yeah, so it's just different, just a totally different, way more career focused. And like when I did start to just kind of chill out and take it easier, it was a bigger deal. Like people were kind of like, oh, well, think of all the things you could be achieving. And I'm like, listen, no.
Yeah.
I have these things I want to do, that are more interesting to me. At that point, it was music and stuff like that. But
yeah. What do you guys think about this shift, making work less of your identity and just choosing jobs to get by and ones that make you feel a little more comfortable in life?
Yeah, I think I can speak from both sides of my mouth from hearing about this shift, because I think there's a part of it that I think is really healthy and really beautiful, and actually a step towards a more abundant life. It's this idea of not putting all of your identity eggs in the basket of your career, of your title, right? I mean, I think people have seen how and experienced how doing so doesn't actually make you feel full. At the end of the day, you kind of still feel empty, and there's always that next thing that you can achieve, or there's always somebody who has got more than you, or they've got the bigger title or the bigger benefits package or pay package, and there's always another bigger business, church, organization that you're not measuring up to. So I think in some regard, this is a really healthy thing to realize, like our work is not a symptom of the broken world, but it's also not a place where you're going to find your fulfillment and your identity. And any time that we do so, we're setting ourselves up for disillusionment and sadness and just brokenness at the end of the day. So on the whole, like, yes, not finding your identity in your title, in the work that you do is beautiful. But the idea, there is a part of me, the idea that just clocking in, clocking out, this is just a job that gets me money in my paycheck or in my bank account every 2 weeks. There's a part of me also, as a Christ follower, like that my heart sort of breaks for that people aren't finding the sacred inside of the secular, and like finding the beauty and the opportunities and the creativity and the relationships inside of their job at the same time. Because I think all work is sacred, and all work is, it doesn't matter if you're making designer jeans or you're a preacher. Like, I think all of it is it's actually sacred when we bring that attitude towards it, and we see the relationships around us as opportunities to love people. We see that we're actually providing a service for the world that helps people and blesses people. Like, there's a really good thing there. So the idea of work being just a clock in, clock out, I'm just surviving. I don't think there's any part of our life that God's designed to be like, we just have to get through it. Now, are there parts of every job that are toil and annoying and hard? And do we all get to live out our unique passions every moment of every workday? No. But I'm just weary to be like, it's just work and we just have to get through it and we have to work these 40 years and then we can be done and do what we want to do. That sounds nihilistic. It sounds really sad to me as well. So I see, yes, a really awesome thing, but also pulling the pendulum to the other side. I think it still brings some emptiness. And then you're thinking, man, am I just wasting 40 years here instead of finding beautiful, sacred things inside of it? So that's how I react to the shift.
Yeah, I agree partially. Joel likes when I'm here, so I can push back on the
partially.
Things he says. I just don't know that the article is pointing towards that second half. I do agree with you. I think maybe it's more of just, I view it almost as like this hated trend for millennials of like, we went through this phase where it was like everybody said millennials just didn't want to work. And I actually think what we're seeing now is maybe a more defined reality of what millennials were maybe searching for. I mean, the article talks about younger millennials, which I would be one of those. So this, biased. But I think maybe this is just it's not that millennials didn't want to work, but we were trying to figure out what that looked like. Because we said we didn't want to spend 40 years in the same job because we had our priorities on family or our priorities on adventure or maybe doing multiple things, helping, volunteering, doing all these other things outside of our careers. And I think that got a bad rap.
Or was over-exaggerated.
Maybe. And so now we're seeing like an actual definition to this. Oh, it's not that nobody wants to work. It's that maybe our priorities are just going somewhere else. And so maybe we just take a job that gives us the resources to do those things. It gives us the resources. We really just want to travel. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, maybe we take epic vacations every year, so we just take a job that gets us enough money to do that thing. I agree it can be negative if you truly are just checking in and checking out and not, putting any love or care into anything that you do. But I just wonder if it's less about that and more about just defining this reality of like, you don't want to work? No, it's not that I don't want to work. It's just that I no longer am prioritizing my life around my work.
Yeah, it's like the center of gravity of my life is not my job, my office, what I need to do before Friday at 5 p.m. Like, that's not the center of gravity. It's a part of my life, and I'm going to do it, but it's not like everything about who I am. Totally
so I'm maybe not putting in, like you don't put in, they don't work as hard. It's like, well, okay, but maybe they're not overachieving or whatever. And I think we had this decades-long push for just, unless you were overachieving, you weren't achieving or doing your job at all. You weren't going the extra mile. And it's like, well, I don't know that, going the extra mile every year for your entire life is probably way more exhausting.
Yeah, for sure. Our second topic today, it's a Today Show article titled, "An Uber driver stayed by his side when he was alone in the ER." 7 years ago, college freshman Joey Romano's life changed forever when he broke his wrist skateboarding near the University of Texas in Austin. Worried about medical costs due to poor insurance, he called an Uber instead of an ambulance. When driver Benny Lukumu arrived to find Romano injured on the ground, he carefully helped him into the car and drove him first to urgent care, then to the emergency room when the injury proved too serious for initial treatment. What happened next transformed both their lives. Learning that Romano had no family nearby, Lukumu, who had immigrated from the Congo and understood the isolation of being far from loved ones, made an extraordinary decision. Despite having a busy day of rides ahead, he stayed with Romano from 2 to 8 p.m., signing him into the ER, sitting by his side during treatment, and refusing any payment for his time and compassion. This act of kindness came at a crucial moment for Romano, who was struggling with deep grief following his brother Johnny's death from leukemia in 2008. The encounter marked a turning point for Romano, who had become isolated and closed off after his tragic loss. Lucumu's selfless act of staying with a complete stranger helped Romano see the good in the world again, and inspired him to look for ways to help others. 7 years later, the two men, now working in renewable energy and insurance respectively, remain close friends, checking in on each other regularly. Their story serves as a powerful reminder of how simple acts of compassion can create lasting bonds and change lives, especially in our divided world where love and kindness are needed most. I just love this story. I think even if neither of them are Christians, like, this is a great example of showing Jesus' love to others. It was awesome. So what about this story stuck out to you guys?
Man, I just this is not a small act of kindness by any means. I mean, this is a big portion of his day, especially being an Uber driver and things like that. But like, even just small acts of kindness can go such a long way. Something as simple, or something that is so simple that can just bring a smile to somebody's face, make them feel valued and cared for, up to this random stranger staying there by your side. I just wish we all could do this. And look, I look at myself and I am like, man, that's a long part of my day. And like, I don't know this other human, but he just saw him as a person who needed someone. And he didn't know, I mean, when he went to drop him off or took him to urgent care, like, he didn't know the backstory of how this would actually like impact him. He didn't know that, about his brother's passing or any of that kind of stuff. And to think that, like, that's just,
you never know the backstory,
though,
right? And that's why, like, we should be so gentle with each other, and we should look for these opportunities, because you never know. You might think it's just taking somebody here, or you might think it's just a couple hours, but it's like, man, the layers of trauma and hurt that he was experiencing to where you met him with kindness, so powerful. I'm blown away by that. I mean, I think for me, what really stood off just the page from reading this article was, like Kenton mentioned, like, this was a huge part of his day, and how sacrificial love actually is, like how it does cost us something, right? It's not just it was nothing, you know what I mean? But this was something. This is an Uber driver who every hour and every minute that you're not working and picking someone else, you are not making money, right? And so from 2 to 8, probably a busy time that he had many different rides to make this happen, he shut things down and lost money in this situation to do this. And it's just, I think it jumped off the page to me, because, like, when we choose to actually respond and do something and to bring peace to someone's chaos, we should not be surprised when on paper it looks like, man, we lost something. Or we should not be surprised when we have that other voice in our mind being like, yeah, but you're not going to get to do this because of this. Like, that is what love is. Love is costly. Love is sacrificial. I mean, I think about this as a parent. Like, that is what love is when you have kids, is you are giving of your time, of your energy. If you have little kids, your sanity, sometimes, like, to give for this person that you love, that with a love that's indescribable, right? But it is costly. Every single time it costs you freedom, it costs you all these different kind of things. And ultimately, this is what Jesus has done for us, right? Like, he didn't just say, love you, man, love you guys down there on earth, I love y'all. But, like, he came into the muck, to the mess, and he honestly, like, gave of himself. And so it's always costly. So wherever you are listening, like, for all of us, myself included, like, man, we are going to have that voice say, no, it's going to cost you too much, but do it anyway. This is what love is. This is what love requires of us, is to actually sacrifice. Yeah. It's just what it is. And I'm just blown away by that. What a great example. And like you said, Abby, whether these people are followers of Jesus or not, they're giving us an example in real time what it looks like to be Christians.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, let's not forget that he felt like he needed to call an Uber and not an ambulance. But I digress.
Yeah, we can get on a whole other conversation. In this country, we all...
Yep. So at the time of recording this podcast, it's the first day of fall. I wanted to ask you guys, which season is your favorite and why?
I love the fall. So, I mean, it seems like the last couple of years we've gotten like 4 to 6 weeks of fall,
Yeah.
but like, and then we've had fake fall already, right? Because a couple weeks ago it was like in the 60s and like low 70s. You're like, this is it, here we come. And then last week was like 92 degrees multiple days, and so I love it. I love it because I don't. I like that. I like
great.
that. But then, football is just my son Jack, who's 6, is like really obsessed with football right now. So he's playing flag football. We're watching football all the time. He's having like make believe football games in his Mimi and Poppy's backyard. It's the coolest. So it's like feels like right now it is just like all football, which just feels like fall for us. And I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, fall is my favorite
Let's
too.
go, Indiana.
Mine too.
We love fall.
Yeah, we do. I think it's an Indiana thing. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we live in like kind of the perfect zone for like color change on trees and like cool weather and not too cold but not too warm and humid still, and like when it actually works out where we get those temperatures and those kinds of things. And I love a good pumpkin patch. We live right next to a pumpkin patch out on Jefferson. It's Price's Pumpkin Patch. If you've never gone, you should go. It's pretty cool. But yeah, just all those things. Cider.
Soup season?
Soup season. Chili.
Shifting into soup season
Yeah.
over here. Let's go.
Chili. Chili.
Yep.
Yeah, there are certain foods where you're like, it's like July, you're not doing chili.
Yeah. No. My wife literally won't let us. Which I support, except when I don't
And
want to support
you're a
it.
pumpkin spice man, right?
I am, yeah. I do like pumpkin spice.
PSO.
Yeah. I make basically my own pumpkin spice every morning. So,
That's awesome.
yep.
Yep. No, fall is the best season. It's also when my birthday is, so
It is
I
just
do
the
love
best.
them. Yeah. Our last topic today, it's an MSNBC article titled How Brendan Carr's Not So Veiled Threats Could Work in Jimmy Kimmel's Favor. Jimmy Kimmel's Jimmy Kimmel Live was recently suspended by both Nexstar, owner of over 30 ABC affiliates, and ABC itself after Kimmel made controversial comments about Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old charged with murdering Charlie Kirk. Kimmel claimed the MAGA gang was trying to characterize Robinson as anything other than one of their own. The media companies defended their decision by calling Kimmel's remarks offensive and insensitive during a critical time in national political discourse. The suspension occurred shortly after FCC Chairman Brendan Carr publicly criticized Kimmel, suggesting he contributed to efforts to lie to the American people. Carr made veiled threats about the FCC's control over broadcast licenses and indicated that companies could do this the easy way or the hard way regarding taking action on Kimmel. Carr's threats may constitute coercion, potentially giving Kimmel grounds for a First Amendment lawsuit. In an update from a statement released yesterday, September 22nd, by Disney, it says, "Last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday." So, what was your reaction to this whole situation, from the show getting taken off the air to it now being back, and all the comments from the FCC chairman?
Yeah, I think initially it was kind of wild because I saw across my news feed that he was suspended, or it looked like the show was canceled, and then I went back and watched what he said, and it just felt like normal late night talk.
Super normal
Like
late night. Yeah.
super like what it's been, right?
Yeah.
And
For
like
years.
how they talk about whoever's in power. And so I remember being like, what was the phrase? What was the thing that he said that was so over the line? So then going and finding it and seeing the sentence that you read from the article, it was just interesting that there had been like this talk from the president and the FCC chairman sort of speaking into this. Basically sounds like mob language, right? We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Is that like literally a line from Goodfellas or something like that? And thinking like, two things are happening at once, right? You have a very sensitive, emotionally charged situation with the assassination of Charlie Kirk that people are on 11 with their emotions about, and their radars are up for offense, and people are just emotionally charged. And then you have the current administration, who, I mean, the president has like talked about how we should cancel Jimmy Kimmel, and he was celebrating that Stephen Colbert got shut down, and he's like, I think I'm directly quoting here, Jimmy Kimmel should be next or something like that. And then this happens like a week later. So you have this push and pull between some leadership in our country and a talk show. So I've just been sort of watching and seeing what I feel like is overreaction, and it left me a little unnerved because it seems to be that there is this movement away from letting people talk, like from even the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, he was talking and it led to violence. Yeah. And here we have somebody saying something on TV that the president and the administration doesn't like, and now they're fired because of what they said. And that, to me, is a very scary thing, because I actually, as a Christian, think that free speech is really great in our country, and us having the freedom to say what we want and others to say what they want is really good. And I'm unnerved by a reality that we could be moving into a place where whoever's in power gets to decide what's okay, because it will come back to bite you when you're not in power, right? And I think as a Christian, people say things all the time that I disagree with, that I find to be like counter to what I believe is for human flourishing and the scriptures and the way of Jesus and all that kind of thing. But I have to hold that in tension with, but I want free speech too. Yep. And I think any time that we are going to start to use power to tell people they can't talk, man, it is just a matter of time before it's going to come back on you when you don't have power, and it's going to be harmful. So I've said this on the podcast before. I am really grateful that we live in a pluralistic society where people can believe what they want and say what they want. And I'm one of those people, and I'm glad that I have that. And so my reaction is a little bit of like, guys, let's pump the brakes here. I mean, it's interesting that you see like even Republican senators like Senator Ted Cruz from Texas saying, whoa, you don't want to do this, because when Republicans aren't in power, they're going to do it to us too. And I'm like,
Tucker Carlson
came out against it too. So this is not like a we're taking some kind of political side. I'm trying to go above right and left to be like, guys, this is not healthy for us as a culture. It doesn't matter who's in charge here. So I'm alarmed in the way where I'm like, we need to slow down and think about this, because I'm a Christian over here and I want the freedom to stand up on Sunday mornings and say what I believe, right? And I don't want somebody busting in and saying, you can't say this. Yeah. So that's a little bit how I respond to the whole thing.
And I think, I have a million thoughts. I agree with Joel 1,000,000%. So no pushback on that. No pushback on that. What he said. No, but like, I think, I agree with Joel 100%. I think that there's just so many different avenues that is like a slow degradation, a slow disintegrating reality of like the First Amendment, freedom of speech,
expression,
or freedom of press, maybe in this situation more than anything. I know that both sides of the aisle have said things about certain outlets, news outlets, about certain things that they say, but our country is built on freedom of speech, press, and religion. Without the First Amendment, there's basically nothing else in the Bill of Rights that exists. There's nothing else in any other amendment that exists. There's nothing else in the Constitution that exists. That originally, I always find this interesting. Sometimes people push back and say, well, it's in the Bill of Rights. It wasn't really in the original Constitution.
It was the First Amendment to the Constitution.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So but that was created because the Founding Fathers didn't necessarily think that there would be government overreach or anything like that. And then they kind of stopped and went, ooh, well, maybe we might have issues. So they added a bunch of things that maybe they were going to include in the original, but thought it wasn't necessary at the time. A lot of times freedom of speech is a slow trickle away. It doesn't often just get outlawed instantly. Mm-hmm. And I agree. This is scary to watch this kind of free speech on either side just get pushed back and forth. I think we've just lost the ability to disagree completely. I think we've lost the ability to debate. I think we've lost the ability to listen to someone else. I wrote down a bunch of different things and different thoughts, but every argument, every debate is a bunch of logical fallacies, ad hominem, attacking the person, straw man, making the argument appear worse, red herring, gish galloping, the kind of prove me wrong reality. None of those things look and see the person for who they are. They don't listen to, come to compromise. I remember there used to be a time where they talked about reaching across the aisle in politics. And that feels like that just doesn't happen. Like, full stop,
Two
period.
teams, I got to beat the other team.
It's just all about winning. And it's the failure of compromise, the failure of reaching across the aisle, the failure of realizing that the other person is a human. It's just all about proving the other person wrong. And I think that it's just really rough. And also, comedians are generally the first people to be under attack because they kind of take the pressure and the conscience of like normal, regular people and really push those buttons intentionally because they want reactions,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think, I've heard some people say like, Jimmy Kimmel's ratings were really bad. And so this is just like when you would say something offensive that somebody found offensive at work and then you're fired for it. But that would be true if the president wasn't specifically calling out saying he should be fired, or the director of the FCC wasn't saying the same kind of thing. So this is where that line is. It's just different than just that you're bad at your job, you're not getting enough viewers, so you know what I mean? Like, it's just a whole different conversation, which I also just find ironic and just funny because as Abby read, we're recording this on Tuesday. Jimmy Kimmel's show is back tonight with most network or most affiliates going to be carrying. So I imagine his ratings are going to be a little high.
Yeah,
I just imagine it's not going to do the trick of silencing him. I think more ears are going to be listening, more eyes are going to be watching, and I think that's a good thing for a free society. And I like living in a free society where people can say things that they want to say. I think it's on the whole better, and I want to be in a place like that. So, so this is where we are. We just need to, like Kenton said, slow down and consider how these roads lead us to a place that nobody wants to be, and it's a slow degradation, like you said. And so hopefully we can learn our lesson. We all chill out a little bit, let comedians try to be funny, and you know what? Don't laugh if you don't think it's funny.
I don't even like comedians.
And then also you can change the channel.
Yeah.
Because you know what? We have lots to choose from.
So probably too much to choose from, honestly.
So yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode of Atypical Talk. If you have any topics you'd like us to talk about or questions, you can email those to atypicaltalkpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at atypicaltalkpod. And make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to get updates when new episodes go live. We hope that these conversations today have helped you think wider, love deeper, and partner with God to bring the up there down here in your everyday life. Thanks for listening.